Hi everyone, this is Mr. Renat F. Delibos on Security and Safety channel. So, on our previous discussion, we talked about the types of hazards. Now, I'm gonna share with you on how to identify hazard. Okay, how to identify hazard? We can identify hazards by means of these methods. Number one, by carrying out a risk assessment. So, in carrying out a risk assessment, we must prepare the GHA. The HERA. What is this GHA? A job hazard analysis. Let's say, for example, in a construction and we have a project, work project. So in order to identify the hazard first, before we're doing the job on this job site, we're gonna prepare a job hazard analysis or a HIRAC. What is this? HIRAC means a hazard identification and risk analysis control. So these two can help us to identify the hazards on the workplace. Okay. Number two, to determine how employees might be at risk. So, by creating GHA, by preparing HIRAC, we can determine how the hazard might impact or affect each and every employees in the company, either in a construction or in an industrial plant. Okay. Number three, we must evaluate the rest. If we are determined already, then we evaluate it on how to eliminate, how to reduce, and how to avoid such hazard. Okay. Record and review hazard at least annually or yearly. But if there is something changes, we must review and record it every year, either in 3 months or more frequent than that. Why? Let's say, for example, we have a lot of near miss cases on our company, or we have a frequent accident record. So we gonna review on our previous records. Then we have two major hazards group. Number one, the physical hazard and health hazards. What is this hazards group? Hazards group includes hazards classes that have a specific hazard properties. Let's say, for example, on a highly toxic chemicals, the properties that can affect the hazard properties that can affect the human health or the physical human being: skin burn, damage to our lungs, eye irritants, etc. So that's the properties of the hazard classes. So let's go to the physical hazards group. Physical hazards group based on the physical hazard or chemical hazards. Properties. The product, such as the flammability. So when we see the flammability, the likelihood and the ratio to become burned or a level in which it can easily create a flame. Okay. Or reactivity. The reactivity means the reaction in towards human being from the equipment, from the chemical, and such other matters. Okay. And corrosivity to metals. So, corrosivity, when we say corrosivity, it will shorten the life of one's equipment which was exposed always to metals that can affect human health. Okay, let's go to the health hazard. So, health hazard, we can encounter here some medical parlance because we are talking about health, human health. Okay. Health hazard includes chemicals which are carcinogens, toxic, or highly toxic agents, reproductive toxins, irritants, corrosives, sensitizers, hepatotoxins, nephrotoxins, neurotoxin agents, which are act on the hematopoietic system, and agents which damage the lungs, skin, eyes, and even the mucous membranes of the human being. So on health hazard, we are studying more about human health. So, these two kinds of hazards group, no, these two kinds of hazards group mainly affect our physical and health being during our work or during our employment or a company or in any sites. So, during our employment, we acquire the what we call occupational diseases. What are the example of occupational diseases? Number one, lungs disease. Of course, if you are assigned on the night shift or continuous graveyard shift, after a year, if you are not prepared to check on a general checkup, then you might be affected by a lung disease. Skin diseases, if you are exposed to the highly hazardous chemicals. Radiation diseases, if you are always exposed in a radiation, highly sensitive radiation. Another thing, if you are always exposed, if you work in an office and always exposed in a computer, and you will notice that your vision will change. Your vision that had already changed. So that's an example of occupational illness. Why we call that occupational diseases or illness? Because we acquire such illness during our employment in a company or in a job site. Okay, if you are new to my channel, you can please subscribe at the bottom. And if you have comments, please write it in below so that we can notify and we can address you to any clarifications. Thank you so much for being with me, guys, and see you soon.